Hello and welcome to episode 28 of Dunk's Movie Corner or Dunk's Movie Corner podcast, whatever you want to call it. If you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. If you've stumbled upon this accidentally, well, don't stumble away. This is a weekly recap of what I watched in movie, TV, limited series, any kind of media. It's usually short and sweet. Uh, so if you're looking for something between, 10, 20 minutes or so, this is what you're looking for. If you're looking for something longer form, an actual discussion perhaps between two humans and not just one rambling at you, the Movie Bros podcast, which is this is kind of a companion podcast too, is much longer format, much more of an actual discussion. That's where my brother Hayden and I pick a movie, watch that movie, and discuss it in depth. That is also posted weekly, usually on Sundays. This usually comes out on Mondays or Tuesdays. Either way, that's more or less what you're listening to. And without further ado, let's just get into this week. So last week I ended it with finishing up Hannibal, watching Titan AE, Excalibur, and Stir Crazy. This week I watched Pride and Prejudice to start. Now I don't want to talk about this too terribly much because, again, this is going to be part of the Movie Bros. This is one of the movies we chose for our Valentine's Day special feature kind of deal, so we'll talk a little bit more about it then. So I'd say definitely check that out. But spoiler alert, I do get why people like this. Is it my favorite rom-com? No, but I definitely get it. Like, it definitely has, I don't know, the right beats, at least for me, for a romantic, like a drama. So I'd say listen more to that later on if you have interest. That was a 4.5 out of 5 for me on Letterboxd, which is where I kind of rate, review, and keep track of all the movies I watch. From there, Amazon Prime recommended something called Snack Shack. This came out 2024. This is a summer coming of age, two young boys uh, deciding to buy the right to work at a snack shack and they're at their local community pool and how they make their profits. And then there's a girl involved as usual. There's nothing inherently super new about it as a concept, but I very much actually enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Some of the cinematography was really quite nice. And it's not crazy long. It's 112 minutes or so. You can check that out on Amazon Prime. That was like a 3.5 out of 5 for me. From there, I watched something called The Birdcage. I cannot remember either who or what recommended this to me. This is from 1996. I got it from the library. This is Gene Hackman. This is Robin Williams, and it is Nathan Lane. All of which, I mean, very well, obviously the two big ones, Robin Williams and Gene Hackman, are very well-known actors, but really the person who signs the most is Nathan Lane. It's about it's about drag queens and divas and conservative senators whose daughters are marrying the drag queen club owner's son. It's fun. Yeah, Nathan Lane is I would say a tour de force in this. If you ever want to, I would not watch this if you are, I don't know, the lack of a better word is uptight, but yeah, I'd call it a 4 to 5. Like, not a perfect movie, but and definitely of the time and kind of predictable, but very much enjoyable. From there, I did end up watching Nosferatu. Hayden and I will probably discuss this a little bit more in our next episode of Movie Bros, which will be this coming week is Oblivion, which we posted on Sunday. So I'd say if you want to hear a little bit more of a discussion about Nosferatu, also at some point on that episode, check that out. But personally, visually stunning. Music was good. The lighting, the framing, the story was kind of so-so. I found everyone who was in it knows how to act. William Dafoe was great. Lily, whatever her name, Johnny Depp's daughter was great. Aaron Taylor Johnson was good. Bill Skarsgård, as always, was a gross, creepy thing. As I feel like I mean, I don't want to say that's his shtick, but he does play a good, like, non-human monstery kind of thing. Is it my favorite Robert Eggers? Probably not. I've always been a really big fan of Northman, which is his like Viking revenge tale. Even before that, The Lighthouse, which is by him, which is just William Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, is very strange, but actually I really enjoyed the experience of watching that. So I think Nosferatu of the three that I've seen would probably be in third. But I'm definitely still glad I got to see it. I had a chance to. Uh, I don't know if I really need to rewatch that at any point soon or even long. I'm not super sure. And again, Hayden and I will probably discuss this a little bit more. I wrapped up my week, however you want to call a week, I don't know, with something called Saturday Night. This is from 2024. If you are potentially, depending on your generation, this is when the first night of Saturday Night Live aired back in, I believe it was the 70s. So maybe you were alive and you remember this. Maybe you were not alive, because I mean, I sure as heck wasn't. That was like 20 years before I was even born. What I will say is, Jason Reitman, the director, who you know him from Juno. He did Up in the Air. He's done Thank You for Smoking. He's done a couple well-known projects. I like his direction. I like the pacing, the music. What I think was really cool was basically every minute of the movie was a minute before showtime. And this thing moves. It is constant. It is like there's the driving beat of literally time ticking by, because it's the stressful pre-show. Everything has to come together. There's a plethora of both well-known and not known actors in this that I really think, A, do their jobs correctly, but B, even for someone who wasn't around, and even if I don't get all the references, all the actors and everything like that, or the comedians from that Saturday Night Live night, it's still fun. It's still really enjoyable. Would I obviously get, I think, more out of it if I was from that era, from that generation, where I understood who everyone was, a little bit more intimately? Sure. But again, I'm glad I watched it. I would give that a solid 3.5 out of 5. Pretty good. Yeah, just the pacing, the music, just the general comedy was pretty great. And I don't want to say I want to ended my week, but I sort of ended my week or sprinkled in throughout, because I think at last week, last week I had finished Hannibal, about Hannibal Lecter. And just so I kind of fill out my bases, yes, I watched a little bit of Seinfeld. I sprinkled that in. I mean, for a long time, The Office, like I know every word to every episode kind of thing. That was like my comfort show that I would rewatch over and over and over again. And then I tried Parks and Rec, and it's okay. Once you get into it, I very much enjoy it, but I don't know why, if I'm just getting older or something, but Seinfeld has become like my just put something on to have something on comfort show while I'm making dinner or whatever I'm doing. Or if I'm taking my break at work, I'll just pop out an episode, because literally it's like 20 minutes. So yeah, I'll say I watched that. Do I love the characters? Yes. Do I love the writing? Yes. Do I love the fashion? Absolutely. I love that like 90s kind of corduroy or trench coat. Basically anything that George Costanza wears, I would probably wear today. And do I sometimes have an affinity for both either him or Jerry, which I'm sure is the point, but they're maybe they're romantic woes. And there's a lot of different ones that both of them have. Yeah, I would just I don't think I'd really rate that, because it's a TV show and every episode is so very different. But that is roughly what I watched in a week. So again, some weeks are a little bit heavier, some weeks are not. It just depends on kind of how busy I get. If I'm out diving or doing work a lot, or just whatever the week holds for me. So that was Pride and Prejudice, Snack Shack, Birdcage, Nosferatu, Saturday Night, and a little bit of Seinfeld. So I feel like that's a pretty solid amount for a week. Otherwise, if there's anything you heard that I should because I liked these things, I should be watching something else, let me know. If there's anything that I watched and liked that you don't agree with, let me know. Or shut the fuck up. I mean, let me have my enjoyment. Or if there's anything else you can think of that I should be putting on my watch list, reach out. This podcast is on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and on Instagram at Dunk's Movie Corner Pod. And yeah, thanks for listening. It's been episode 20 something. I don't even remember at this point. That was 10 minutes ago. And I'll catch you all next week for another episode. And if you're listening to this, stay tuned for another episode of the Movie Bros in just a couple days with Oblivion, which will also reference Nosferatu.